What's up, guys? Joe here with Odyssey Off-Road. Back at you with another video about the Jeep Gladiator. This isn't really so Mojave specific. I'm going to make another video about why you should buy the Mojave over other trims. So you can stay tuned for that one later date. But for today, what we're going to talk about is why you shouldn't buy the Gladiator. And then we'll talk about, if you're going to buy one, things you need to know ahead of time, so that you don't make the purchase and then start complaining on forums and public spaces and other reviews, other YouTube reviews. And I read the comments, and I see a lot of people that make the purchases and they don't really know what they're buying. They're buying it because it's cool, and that's the wrong reason to buy it. You need to buy something that's going to work for you and your lifestyle, and you have to understand going in, buying a Gladiator, you're not buying a normal pickup truck, okay? Now, there's plenty of fanboys out there, Jeep fanboys, Gladiator fanboys. I am not one of them. I am an owner of one. I like the truck. It's a good truck. It's very versatile. I've outlined those reasons why I bought it, why I own it, and why I like it in walk around video of it. But there's people out there that just buy these things, and they have their faults. Every vehicle does. But there's going to be certain things that are going to be deficiencies, I would say, in this truck that you're not going to get with a standard pickup truck. Cab noise, ride quality, stuff like that is going to be 100% different in a Gladiator than is going to be in a other brands mid-size truck like a Chevy Colorado, GMC Canyon. They're obviously the same trucks. Toyota Tacomas, Ford Rangers, Nissan Frontier. That's a good truck too. You're not going to get certain little idiosyncrasies that you get with the Gladiator in those other brands, because they're all front independent suspension. They're all solid cabs. You can't take the doors off. You don't take the roofs off. So those differences alone make a drastic difference in how your daily ride comfort is in a Gladiator versus another vehicle. Road trips, wind. There's a lot of factors that change the ride quality, and we'll call the ride experience, the driving experience in a Gladiator versus the other brands and the other mid-size trucks, because it is essentially a Jeep Wrangler. If you've ever been inside of a Jeep Wrangler and you're wondering what you should expect inside a Jeep Gladiator, expect the same thing. Expect what you experienced inside a Wrangler in a Gladiator when you're in it for a drive. You're going to hear the wind. You're going to hear road noise. You're going to hear some creaks and squeaks and things shifting and moving. And that's something you shouldn't be complaining about after the fact. You really need to know that going in. When you're making a purchase that is not cheap, you should know going in that this is not going to handle or drive like anything else in the segment. So let's get out of the truck. Let's walk around. Let's talk about it a little bit. And I will point out some things as to why you should not buy this truck. Things that you should consider before purchasing it if you've already made up your mind you're going to buy it. So hopefully that will alleviate some stress and maybe avoid some people making a mistake and then going on to other public forums and complaining about the truck that they bought because they really didn't do their research first. And I read and I watch a lot of the other quote unquote professional YouTube reviews, and a lot of them spew off the same Same things. You know, it's like cookie cutter reviews. They're cookie cutter videos. Like you can almost take some of these videos from the professional uh, truck video review editors, whatever you want to, whatever they call themselves, and you can cut and paste them into each other's YouTube pages, and they'll fit. Just change the voice, because it's like they're reading off a sheet of paper, giving you specs, and if there's an issue that people complain about a lot, well, that's the issue for them that they highlight, because that's what they're hearing, and they don't really know enough personally about the vehicle to give you guys a good quality review and expectation, setting a good expectation for you in ownership. Even some of these channels that do, again, quote unquote, long-term reviews, they own a vehicle for a couple months and then they sell it and they buy something else. That's not a long-term review. So I've had two of these. I've had several Jeep Wranglers. I can tell you guys what to expect and what not to expect when you purchase one of these. So let's get out, walk around the truck. I'll point out a couple things that are glaring that people don't really consider when they buy them. And then down the road, I'm also going to do a different video. This is not going to be really so Mojave specific. I'm going to do another video at a later date, and we're going to talk about why a Mojave, if you're going to buy a Gladiator, is the trim to buy over other trims, or why it's not the trim to buy over other trims, and maybe you should buy a Rubicon or a Sport or something like that. But we'll talk about that stuff in a different video. This is going to be more about, if you're not sure, or if you're thinking about buying a Gladiator, maybe you should reconsider, or at least understand what you're buying before you spend your money. So let's get to it. So guys, we're going to start right here. We didn't get far. We're going to start right here in the interior. And this is thing number one you need to understand about a Jeep Gladiator. You see those tops? They come off. And a lot of you probably know that. You'll see I have the hard top, okay? It's not the soft top. So the panels come off separately. You're going to have separate issues with, and I won't call them issues, but you're going to have separate things to understand a soft top versus a hard top. Regardless, if you buy a Gladiator, there is going to be more road noise in the cab. There is going to be wind noise in the cab under certain conditions. It is a fact of the matter, and you need to understand that before you make the purchase. Don't buy the Gladiator because you want to be cool and drive around with the tops off, and it's got the cool factor, but then when the tops are on, you're complaining that you hear some noises, or it's not sealed as well, or it's not as insulated or soundproof as some other vehicles. You can't have everything. You can't be able to remove all the panels and the doors and have all of those insulative qualities. It's just not realistic, and it's not going to happen. So wipe that thought right out of your head right now. If that's, you're going and purchase one and that's your expectation, just stop, put the brakes on, and go look at another manufacturer. So again, you see here I have the hard tops. If you get a soft top, it's going to be even noisier in here. There's less insulation. The soft top moves, it flutters. It's just a piece of fabric covering the roof, and it's going to be very noisy in here. This here, with the insulation panels I have on there from Mopar, does help quite a bit, and it's tolerable for me. I'm fine. There are certain, even for myself, sometimes on a freeway, it's a windy day. You're on freeway speed, 75, between 70, 80 miles an hour, let's just call it, and you're going to get some wind noise, and it's going to feel like you're blowing around, and you're going to hear that in the cab. It's just what it is. You have to take the goods and the bads, and those are one of the bads for sure, if that's something that's going to bother you. So you're going to have to understand that going in. All right, let's get down here to the bottom in the core of the Jeep Gladiator. The front suspension is not like the front suspension on any other mid-size pickup truck. You'll see here we have a solid front axle. That means that this wheel here is directly connected to the wheel on the other side. When you hit a bump on this side, the axle goes like this. When one side comes up, the other side goes down. That's going to affect ride characteristics and ride quality. I would use the word ride and drive characteristics before I would use the word quality, because quality is subjective. Some people like a rougher ride and a truck with a stiffer suspension. Some people like a truck with a soft suspension, and that's preference. But the characteristics of the drive is undeniable. It's going to drive different. It's going to feel different. When you hit a bump with one side of the truck, you're going to feel it on the other side of the truck. It doesn't isolate it to one wheel like any other vehicle on the road, aside from a Super Duty truck. If you've ever driven a Ford Super Duty or a heavy duty Ram, I don't say the GMC products because they use independent front suspension now, even on their heavy duty trucks. But if you've driven a heavy duty truck with a solid front axle in the past, then you already know. And that's what you can expect on how the front end is going to feel on one of these. It's a solid front axle, it's going to feel the same way. But for those of you who've driven soccer mom vehicles or cars your whole life, and this is going to be your first truck, and you want to be cool and get a Jeep and take the tops off, and then you're all right with the interior noise and all that stuff that we already went over, and then you start complaining about how it feels going down the road. It wanders, or I hit a bump and I can feel it all. It jolts the vehicle. It's going to handle different. There's reason why this has a solid front axle is because it's better off-road. You get better axle articulation. It's stronger. You have less moving parts than an independent front suspension. But if you want good road manners and you're not taking your vehicle off-road, there's no reason to buy a Jeep Gladiator. So, it's not going to handle the same. You have to understand what you're buying. You're not buying. There's a reason why this is different than every other vehicle. It's a Jeep Wrangler with a bed on it. Jeep can say it's not, but it is. If you take the cab of the truck, there forward, it's a 4-door Wrangler, and add a couple extra feet on it, and you have a full-size bed rather than just the back of a JLU, which is the 4-door Jeep. Would end about right there. Wheelbase would be shorter. Then you want a pickup truck, they just extend the frame and add a bed on it. That's it. That's the only difference. So the ride quality is going to be better than a 4-door Jeep because it's a longer wheelbase. From there to there, it's longer. So it's going to drive truer and straighter down the roads. It's not going to wander as much. But you're going to have similar ride characteristics in the front end. You're going to feel the bumps differently than you would an independent front suspension vehicle. It just is what it is. You have to know that before you buy it. Don't buy it and then complain after the fact. You've been warned. No going in. Here's another one I bet none of you has even thought of. And I can only tell you this because I am someone who particularly likes to keep my vehicle clean. Even after I use it, I took this truck off-road yesterday, and you'll see now it's spotless. Pretty much spotless. It could be a little better, but it's pretty clean. It was covered in dust head to toe. Okay? It was just dust. There was no mud or anything like that, so I ran it through the car wash, local car wash. And it comes out, and it's the second time I've taken this truck through the car wash, and it comes out looking like crap still. And there's just nothing you can do about it, because look at the profile of this truck from the side. And this is something nobody talks about or thinks about, but I'm pointing it out to you here. Because again, we're not one of those cookie cutter reviewers. You see, you got these gigantic fenders that stick out. You have door hinges that stick out that you don't have in a normal vehicle. You have taillights that stick out past the vehicle. Give it a look down this side. All these things that protrude, they don't go well with a car wash with a spinny brush that's meant to clean your truck as it's going through, or a car. That's going to do great on a vehicle with a nice streamlined profile down the side. But on this, after every fender, around the taillight, before the bumper, this whole area is almost untouched when I come out of a car wash. And I've taken it through different car washes, not just the one particular one. You're not going to get that clean. Prepare on doing a second cleaning yourself after you run it through the car wash. If you're that type of person that likes to clean your own vehicle, this may not be the truck for you, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies that the car washes are missing on these things. I can tell you right now. All around the hinges, behind the hinges, you get dirt when you're driving a rainy day. You know, when you drive your car and it's raining for a while, and the whole side of your car is kind of like that black, gross road grime dirt. Well, all that stuff, that water and that dirt gets in behind the hinges. Well, a traditional car wash, even when you're washing it with your hand, those are little tight nooky areas that you're not getting in good. You need a brush, get in there if you want to do a good cleaning and get all that stuff done. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to wash your own car and you take it through a car wash all the time and want it to come out super clean, and you complain to the car washer when your car doesn't look perfect and you make them send it through twice, you can send it through 5 times, it's still going to come out looking the same. That's just a fact of the matter. You have too many things sticking out off the car that's not conducive to spinny brushes going down a flat profile, then it'll clean it nice. But you have even these things sticking off your hood. You know, there's a lot of little things, big fenders sticking out. It's not conducive to a good cleaning at a car wash. So that's another thing you need to consider. Here's one of the biggest reasons why you should maybe not get this vehicle. If you do a lot of road trips and you do 0 off-road, this is probably not the vehicle for you. Now, before you Jeep guys and you Gladiator fans pound on your keyboard right now and tell me I drive mine thousands of miles, it's fine, yada, yada, yada. I hear you, what you're saying. Just slow down a minute, let me explain. If you're that type of person that's never driven solid axle front vehicle, a vehicle where the panels come off, and all the things we've listed and talked about already, and you're still considering buying one of these, and you do a lot of road tripping, and you really don't use this thing off-road much, it's really not, you're wasting your money. You're not really doing yourself any favors buying a Gladiator if you have no intention of taking it off-road. That's my personal opinion, but I think the Gladiator is a good fit for somebody who is going to do some off-roading, but they also want a pickup truck that can perform on the road and be cool and take your tops off. A versatile truck. When you buy something that can do a lot of different things well, it's never going to be perfect at one of them. So if your biggest concern is road manners and highway drives and road trips, do yourself a favor. Go buy a Tacoma. Go buy a Colorado. Go buy a Ranger. Go buy a Nissan Frontier. Because those vehicles are going to drive a lot better on the freeway. You may or may not hear, it's a little bit windy right now. I have the noise cancellation on the camera, but you can still pick it up sometimes. So if you hear that, and it's a windy day, and you're driving a lot of crosswinds or headwinds, and you're on a road trip with this, I can tell you right now, you are going to feel it. You are going to be fighting the steering wheel. You are going to get moved around on the road a lot more than you would a traditional vehicle that's put in, wind tunnel when they design it, and it's designed for better aerodynamics. Aerodynamics was the last thing considered when this vehicle was built. That's not what a Jeep is. Jeep's not designed to get great gas mileage, even though I get pretty good gas mileage on this. I'm averaging, in about the last 4,100 miles, I'm averaging 18.7 on this truck. And I can show you guys if you don't believe it, I'll put it up on the screen. But you can get decent gas mileage. But there are going to be times on windy days where you're going to get horrible gas mileage, maybe 10, 11 miles to the gallon fighting a headwind. And you're going to get better gas mileage on a traditional vehicle. The aerodynamics are just better. It's just simple math. Resistance, you're hitting the wind. It's shaped like a box. It's completely flat on the side. You got a lot of things sticking out, which we already talked about already. Those aren't conducive to good aerodynamics. You have this big, straight-up grill, straight-up windshield. It's like a fist in the wind. It's looks cool. It's badass off-road. It's a versatile truck, and I love it. I have no problems. There are times on freeways and on road trips that you're going to say, even if you love the truck, man, I'd love to be sitting in a normal vehicle right now. But you got to take the goods with the bads with everything you buy. So that considering, that said, I should say, you got to consider that when purchasing one of these. It is what it is. Don't go into this blind. It's a lot of money you're spending. These things ain't cheap, especially if you're not getting a rebate. The new 24s out don't have huge discounts right now. So if you're going in and buying a new 24 and you're paying 60, 65, 70,000 some of these trucks, you need to think long and hard if you're making the right purchase, okay? I think one of the other last things we need to consider is this. If you have cheap insurance, And some of you guys already know where I'm going with this. If you have cheap-ass insurance, because you can barely afford your car payment, and you shopped around for the cheapest insurance policy possible, and you have high deductibles, and this also may not be the truck for you. And I'll tell you why right now. You're going to be replacing windshields on this truck. That is not an if, that is a when. And a lot of it has to do with where you live as well. But, it's going to be more than in other areas. But you are going to be replacing windshields. The windshield on this thing is almost vertical. It's very little tilt back. A traditional pickup truck, you have much more of a sweep. Stuff glances off it more. This is pretty close to straight up. And rocks tend to just smash it. And you're going to get rock chips. You're going to get cracked windshields. If you guys don't know already, insurance companies, good insurance companies, offer what they call full glass coverage. And the way full glass coverage works is part of your comprehensive coverage on your insurance. If you add full glass coverage, rather than typically if you don't have full glass coverage and you just have regular collision and you have comprehensive. And your comprehensive coverage would cover your windshield if something hit it with a rock, depending on the circumstance. Sometimes it may fall under collision. It depends on how you hit something. If it's moving, if it's stationary, whatever. But if you fall into one of those categories where you're going through your comp, or your collision to fix your glass, you're going to pay your deductible. So a lot of times people have at least a $500 deductible. I've seen people with $1,000 deductibles and $2,500 deductibles, in which case you're not going to get anything covered on your windshield because the windshield's going to be less than that. But if you add what's called full glass coverage, what that is just waives your deductible if you have a claim that's glass only. That's the only way that works. Again, I'll repeat. If you have a impact to your vehicle and your windshield cracks and it is a glass only claim, in other words, something hits your windshield here and it cracks it and it spreads across your windshield and you need a new windshield, that's a glass only claim. If you have full glass coverage, that means you have no deductible and they will replace your windshield and you won't pay anything out of pocket. If you have an impact that also causes damage to something other than your glass, though, let's say a boulder or something falls off the truck in front of you, comes up, hits your hood, and then your windshield, cracks your windshield, well, then you have to file a traditional claim. You're going to have a deductible apply. That's not a glass-only claim. Full glass coverage only applies on glass-only claims. So if you can add that full coverage, you're okay, but you're going to be using it a lot. So again, if you want to pay cheap insurance or go with a no-name provider that don't offer that type of coverage, you're going to just know you get what you pay for with insurance. You're going to be paying for a lot of windshields out of your pocket. So make sure when you buy one of these, you have insurance with full glass coverage. So when you have a glass-only impact and you have a rock chip that spreads and cracks, you can get your insurance company will pay for a new windshield with no money out of pocket. And here's, I think, probably the last thing we should consider. And I brought it up in a couple other categories, and you'll hear that wind kicking up right now. Do you off-road your truck? If not, do you live in an area that snows a lot and you're driving in poor road conditions where you need four-wheel drive? Ask yourself that. The reason why I say that and why you should ask yourself that is because a Jeep Gladiator is not offered in two-wheel drive. And that goes back to the fact that these trucks are designed for off-roading. Off-roading first, creature comfort second. That's the way Jeeps are designed. So if you're buying this truck and you don't ever use four-wheel drive, you're going to have some mechanical issues. The four-wheel drive system cannot just go unused for forever. If you don't use it, you need to put it in four-wheel drive once a month and drive for at least a mile or so with it to get everything in the front end and in that four-wheel drive system lubricated and get the seals to be conditioned and have lubrication on them, or else stuff's going to start drying out, stuff's going to start leaking, and then that one time you are going to need it, it's not going to go into four-wheel drive properly, or it's not going to work properly, or you can have a failure. You need to keep the system working and lubricated properly, and that means putting it in four-wheel drive at least once a month. if you don't need four-wheel drive and you're just driving on the street, you're looking for a two-wheel drive vehicle, you can save yourself a lot of money just buying a truck that's two-wheel drive. If you need a truck, but you don't want four-wheel drive. And that's not offered here. This is one way only. You know, you have different trim levels, but they're all solid front axle, solid rear axle, and four-wheel drive systems. That's what you get. You can get a four-wheel drive, automatic four-wheel drive system, which we can get into more in a later date if you guys want, but you know, where it senses kind of slip of the rear wheels and it'll engage the fronts for you, so you don't have to think about it and put it in and out of four-wheel drive if you're driving on snowy roads. And those transfer cases aren't as good and are as strong for somebody who's off-roading a lot. If you're using it for hardcore off-roading, you want the traditional part-time four-wheel drive system. But if you're just, you know, driving it in snowy conditions, and that's probably a good system for you. You're not really going to be using a lot off-road. That's okay. But you're not getting this truck in two-wheel drive. It just ain't happening. They don't offer it. So another thing to consider there. All right, guys. So there's a few reasons. Those are a handful of reasons why maybe you need to reconsider thinking about buying one of these. And I didn't say any of this stuff to deter you guys that truly want one away from buying one, or suggest that the truck's not a good truck, because it is a good truck. It could do a lot. You can take the tops off. You can have that convertible feeling. I had the tops off. I had the front Freedom panels off all last week. It was beautiful. And then it got really hot, so I put them back on. But, you know, they come on and off in like 2 minutes, so it's nice. It's fun. This Mojave specifically will tow 6,000 pounds. You can get a Gladiator to tow up to 7,500 pounds. Would I tow that much with it? Probably not. But I wouldn't max out towing on any vehicle I buy. You should really only tow probably up to like 80% of what it's rated for, to be fair to the truck and fair to yourself with the expectations of what it can do. You know, it's got a good back seat in it as opposed to some other trucks. That's a reason to buy it over other trucks. It's got a bigger back seat. There's more leg room than there is on a Tacoma for sure, a Ford Ranger for sure, and even a Colorado. And if you guys watch all the, you know, other big YouTubers that do the truck reviews, and they go to all the vehicle launches for the manufacturers, and they get right into all that stuff. Again, a lot of their stuff they're spewing out is data they're reading off a sheet. Half the times they're giving you facts that are incorrect. I found myself yelling at the screen sometimes, watching some of these professional reviewers talk about a vehicle they're reviewing, they got right in front of them. And they don't have the facts straight, or they'll say, hey, look at this new feature, and it's been on the truck for several years, even in the prior model. I mean, it's nothing new on the new one, but they don't know any better, so they're just spewing that off because this is the first time maybe they noticed it. But I think you get more information about what's good and not good from real world reviewers like myself. Not patting myself on the back or telling you guys should watch my videos or anybody else's. I'm just saying there's other people like me out there on YouTube world that aren't getting the special treatment from the manufacturers. I don't get invited to press events or anything like that. Any information I give you guys is relative to my experiences and what I know. I'm not going to give you guys false information. And if I don't know something, I'm not going to talk about it. So all these things I mentioned, I want you guys to seriously consider before you buy this truck. I understand it's really cool, and like, you know, sometimes people make a purchase not with their brain, but with their heart. With their heart's telling them, I want that Jeep. It's so cool. I can take the tops off. I go to the beach with my girlfriends. You know, maybe you're a young lady and you have need a truck, and you like Wranglers and stuff like that. But even though you've never had one, and you really want a truck that you can take tops off. Think about all the other things. You know what I mean? There's going to be times, and it's not always fun to have the top off either. You're driving down the road, it's like a wind tunnel in here with the top off. You know, it's not like the wind just goes sailing over the top and you're just getting a beautiful sun on your head. It doesn't work like that. It's like a hurricane in here when you have the tops off. So you have to consider that stuff. It's just not all, glamorous and fun to take tops off and cool and take the doors off. There's a lot of things to consider. So think about all the things I said. Hopefully all this stuff was useful for somebody thinking about making a purchase. And, you know, if I help one of you to not spend your money and make the wrong purchase, then my job's done here. That's really what the point of this was. I too have made purchases that didn't make sense, and you spend and waste a lot of money doing that. So if I can help some of you guys out there to not do that, then great. This video is helpful for any of you. I encourage you to please subscribe to the channel. Really trying to grow. We're just about at 5,000 subs. We do a lot of off-road content. That's why the name of the channel is Odyssey Off-Road. It's not Odyssey Jeep or Odyssey ATV. You know, anything off-road related, we cover it. So whether that be towing, Jeeps, trucks, ATVs, dirt bikes. We haven't gotten to dirt bikes yet, but it's coming at some point. Side-by-sides. So smash the thumbs up button on your way out, guys. Hit that little notification bell. It'll remind you. You'll get a little alert when the videos are uploaded. The next video is uploaded, so you can kind of head on over right away. But if you subscribe to the channel, you don't get spam or anything like that. I know some people aren't really too keen on or know 100% the way YouTube works. It's just all algorithm stuff. So, you know, the more you guys like my videos, the more you guys leave comments in the video, even if it's just hi or a little wave or thanks, something. Tell me your video sucks. That's fine too. It all helps me out. So it helps the algorithm. The more comments and the more likes, the more YouTube pushes the content to other people to be able to see it instead of getting buried at the bottom of the pile with all the other videos I got uploaded. So I appreciate you guys that are watching. If you stuck around this long, smash that thumbs up button on your way out. This is Joe at Odyssey Off-Road. Catch you guys out on the next one.